Welcome back to SmokeHouse. In the past, I've been talking about the cannabinoid receptors in our body, specifically for cannabinoids, and so I wanted to go into that. In the late 80s and the early 90s, they discovered a system in our body called the Endocannabinoid System. What they found out is that our bodies produce natural cannabinoids that are called endocannabinoids. And then we have a system in our body specifically for those cannabinoids called the Endocannabinoid System. Now, before we get into this any further, I'd like to reiterate, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I have no medical experience. This is all just my own knowledge that I have researched and gained on my own. Now, having said that, I do have 2 articles in my description backing up what I'm saying. One of them is from Leafly, and the other one is from health.harvard.org. Both of these articles are talking about the endocannabinoid system. Now, I will talk about this system a little bit, but I do urge you to look at these articles. They will explain this way better than I ever could. Now, there are 3 main components to the endocannabinoid system, and those are 1, the cannabinoid receptors, 2, the endocannabinoids themselves, and 3, the metabolic enzymes that will actually break down the cannabinoids after they are used. Now, the receptors are made up of many receptors, but the first 2 that were found are CB1 and CB2. They are also the main focus and have the most study on them. But the CB1 receptors are mostly found in your brain, and it is what really interacts with the THC to get you high. The CB2 receptors are mostly found in your immune system. However, both CB1 and CB2 receptors are found throughout the body. Endocannabinoids are actually cells, cannabinoid cells, that will interact with your receptors. Whether or not we had the system before, or it's really evolved with us cultivating this plant for around 10,000 years, I'm really not sure. Now, one amazing thing is all the potential there is with cannabis and what it can do with our bodies because of these receptors in our body specific to them. There are so many pharmaceuticals that they could replace. And not only that, cannabinoids will actually trigger memory loss in the brain. And it's actually quite crucial for our minds to be able to forget things in order to be able to attain more knowledge. That is why we have a subconscious. We actually have natural endocannabinoids that will help regulate our memory and help us to forget. However, there are some in our society that have an issue with this. Those on the autistic spectrum and those with major trauma like those with PTSD. They both have a hard time forgetting memory. They keep a lot of these thoughts and memories bottled up in their minds, and it seems like they're not being able to produce these endocannabinoids to trigger this memory loss. And so that's where cannabis can really come in to help those with trauma and on the autistic spectrum. At least I've seen this theorized. Anyway, my point with this is that we have a system in our body that is specific for cannabinoids and a natural organic plant that produces these cannabinoids that can help us in so many ways. You don't even have to get high to benefit from it. I think it's a bit more fun when you do that, but you can benefit from it without getting high. And that's huge for those people who don't want to get high. You can still benefit from this plant without having to worry about wanting to get high. You can gear yourself to those CB2 receptors with cannabinoids still. And so I urge you to do more research on the endocannabinoid system and on cannabis itself. And hopefully you'll realize that there's so much more to this plant and so much more potential, especially for an organic plant. If you enjoyed this video or you found it intriguing, please leave a like and a comment and let me know what you think. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button if you want to stay up to date with videos coming out in the future. And now, as always, Jay is going to go smoke a J.